The New York Knicks have just signed Moses Brown to a contract, and this is a perfect sneaky signing for the team, as Mitchell Robinson is going to be down with injury until January, as we know, and Leon Rose went out there and got a guy into the organization who could literally become the next Mitchell Robinson. This is a perfect signing by the New York Knicks, and we're going to break down why. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. Nice to be back with y'all today. Because the New York Knicks just signed one of my favorite underrated players in basketball in Moses Brown. Now, my bias towards Moses Brown, because like me, he's a New Yorker, and I almost went to the high school that he went to, and Cole Anthony also went there. They went at the same time. Partially. But Moses Brown could be the next Mitchell Robinson, and I am going to break down why that is. So now, in case y'all didn't know, now you know. The New York Knicks went out there and they signed Moses Brown to an Exhibit 10 contract today. And this is awesome, awesome news for the team. Moses Brown is underrated. He's someone who's bounced around, who's been on 500 million NBA teams in just a few years. He's someone who always gets picked up by teams and waived and is bouncing in and out of the G League. But he is much better than a G League player, everyone. If you go out there and think, oh, Moses Brown, some random name that we'll never hear again, think again. Moses Brown has been underrated. He has stayed underrated since his days in Portland, OKC, the Clippers, 2 games on the Brooklyn Nets. Moses Brown is slept on. The man can be Mitchell Robinson Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. He is that good. Moses Brown is a phenomenal rebounder. He's a great shot blocker, great on the offensive boards, high flyer, great lob catcher. He's everything that Tom Thibodeau wants in a center to mirror Mitchell Robinson. I honestly, and I genuinely mean this, I think Moses Brown is better than Jericho Sims right now. I really do. I fully believe that from the bottom of my heart, that Moses Brown is better than him. Moses Brown is so underrated as a center. It's why I'm making a whole video on a guy the Knicks just signed to an Exhibit 10 deal. Now, last season, Moses didn't get to play much. So, when he did, he put up 3.5 points per game with 4 rebounds. He fouled 1 per game. He does get in some foul trouble. He fouled 1 per game. Wow. He got 1 foul per game. Obviously, his defensive box plus minus and value over replacement player were in the negatives. He's raw still. He's got some room to grow, but if a team believes in him, he could totally break out, even though he's about to turn 25, which isn't exactly young, but it's obviously nowhere near old. It's definitely on the young side in basketball still, especially for big men who take a bit of time. And he was on the Trailblazers, who have 55 centers. It's hard for him. Put up a 50% shooting mark. I mean, look, the man looked solid in very minimal minutes this season. But Moses Brown is someone who the New York Knicks certainly will be able to mold. Now, Moses has played on a handful of teams, whether it's been starting with the Portland Trailblazers for 9 games or going to the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he actually got rotational minutes, playing 21.4 minutes per game, averaging 8 points and 8 rebounds per game. The man blocked 1 shot per game. He was a high flyer. He put up good numbers from the field. He was an impressive player, guys. And then he spent some time in Dallas, where he looked good when he rarely got the opportunity to play. Spent a little bit of time in Cleveland, spent some time on the Clippers, where he looked good in very minimal minutes, played around a second on the Brooklyn Nets in 2 games, then last season was back with Portland. Moses Brown is someone who is much better than all these stats indicate. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, Chris, why are you making a video on Moses Brown? As I'm saying, this guy is so underrated. And now look, it's time that we get to the obligatory of this. The New York Knicks don't have money to work with. We all know this is the case. We know the Knicks don't have a ton of money that they're dealing with right now. Look, guys, if the Knicks sign anyone from their Exhibit 10 contracts, it's going to be Landry Shamet, because they can sign one guy. He's the best one. They need another shooter after trading DiVincenzo in the Karl Anthony Towns trade. They have big men in Towns, in Precious, in Jericho, in Mitch when he returns. It's understandable that Moses Brown is not going to get a contract and will most likely be playing for the Westchester Knicks this year, but at some point, the Knicks are going to find a way to bring this man in, because they are going to try to develop him. Bringing in Mark Bryant, having Tibbs, who's an awesome developmental coach himself with big men, but having Mark Bryant, one of the best big men coaches in basketball, who Jalen Duren has raved about being a huge part of his growth as an NBA player, as a very young person, as a very young player in NBA basketball, as a very young person. What is happening to me right now, guys? But also having Othella Harrington, who's been a great big man development coach also. The New York Knicks have a lot going for them when it comes to developing big men, more than any other team in basketball. And Moses Brown can benefit from this so much, guys. It's hard to even describe. literally had a half of basketball where he went 6 for 6, had 17 points, meaning he was hitting his free throws, and also 19 rebounds in a half. The most rebounds in a game is 53 by Bill Russell. That was a different era of time that'll never happen again. Most teams don't get that many rebounds nowadays. But 19 rebounds in a half, that's 38 rebounds in a game. Why is he not on an NBA team, guys? The New York Knicks made a great signing here. And, I mean, just look at Moses Brown and the way he plays. Oh, yeah, we got highlight videos now. You better believe. Look at him blocking Towns. Then, all the way down the court. Nope. Dude, Moses Brown is nice. Again, nope. Wait for it. Another one. Moses Brown, look at this. Look at this. The lob right up to Moses. I mean, tell me this isn't young Mitchell Robinson, guys. Tell me this is not young Mitch. Look at that. Catching lobs. Going out there. Nice little dunk. Catching it. Moves like Mitch. Dunks the ball like Mitch. Getting putbacks. This guy is Mitchell Robinson part 2. Look at that shot. Literally obliterating Towns. All right, we've watched all of this by now. Guys, Moses Brown is someone who is severely slept on in basketball. The New York Knicks are going to have him play for the Westchester Knicks because they can't afford to bring him on or they would be a second apron team, but they're going to make some more moves in order to be able to have a 15-man rotation once the playoffs come around. When the Knicks lost in the playoffs, something that became evidently clear right after is that they were going to do everything they could to strengthen the end of their bench so they would not have to have another playoff series where it's literally a 7-man rotation where Brunson's playing 44 minutes, Josh Hart's playing 48 minutes, DiVincenzo was playing 47, who's now going to be replaced by Mikal Bridges playing 48 minutes because he's Mikal Bridges. You have Precious Achiuwa playing 40 minutes off the bench, Isaiah Hartenstein playing 40 minutes. The Knicks did not want to do that again. They don't want to have it where they have a bunch of players where they have their top 7 playing absurd minutes and then another guy in Jericho Sims who's going to play like 4 minutes. And that's the whole rotation. They don't like doing that, and they don't want to do it again. They understand it's not a good formula for winning basketball games and can cause injuries. They want to strengthen the end of their bench, and they've done that well bringing in Landry Shamet, but it also got worse when they traded DiVincenzo off that bench. I mean, their bench unit right now, Deuce McBride, Precious Achiuwa, Landry Shamet, Jericho Sims. Are those the top 4 on the bench? Because that's not a great bench, guys. Now, having Mikal, who's going to play with the bench unit a lot, is going to be helpful. You have Tyler Kolek, who's good at creating shots for others. You have Cameron Payne, who's a good pace setter, works the floor well, good kind of floor general as a backup point guard type player, can shoot the ball well, had the 7th highest three-point percentage in all the playoffs last year. The man shot the ball incredibly well. They have some solid players off the bench. They have a good end of bench. They have really good depth. Honestly, their bench depth is better than their bench in general. Like, they have high-end bench depth between guys who aren't going to play, like Kolek or Payne, whichever one doesn't win that backup point guard spot. Like Jericho Sims, the third-string center, who will get sporadic minutes. They only have 12 guys on the actual roster. Now, they're going to have Shamet sign that full-time contract, and they're going to sign Ariel Hukporti, most likely to a deal, which makes it even less. It makes it more difficult for Moses Brown to get minutes. So Moses is going to be in the G League for a bit. But the Knicks are going to make moves so they could get that 15th roster spot open so they could have 15 guys come the playoffs so they could have just a wealth of guys to go to if they get hit by the injury bug the way they did last year, which obviously is so unlikely but always could happen. Moses Brown deserves a spot. And I understand there's a lot of big men, and I think Precious Achiuwa is going to get traded this season. If the Knicks decide Jericho is not getting it done, and they're afraid to use Mr. Ariel Hukporti, Moses Brown deserves that spot. I mean, look at those highlights. He looked like Mitchell Robinson again. He looked like young Mitch, who was all skinny and running around and flying through the air. Now, I'm not hating on Mitch. He's gotten a lot bigger, and it's been caused to stopping Joel Embiid. So what Mitch is doing is working. It's just Moses Brown brings that really springy athleticism of a thin center athletic guy. I love this signing. I hope the Knicks can find a way to get him on the actual roster. It would certainly help them win more games. Might be a hot take. I'm telling you right now, they signed Moses Brown. Not counting Towns as a center. Let's call Towns a power forward just for the sake of this argument. And it's just Mitch, Sims, Moses, Hukporti. Moses Brown is the second best center on this team. Guys, let me know what you think down below. Have a great day, and go Knicks. I loved making this video.